session of the retreat. It goes so quick. And the schedule said I should give a Dhamma talk. Right. I was asked, I'm going to go to Melbourne on January, just to visit there. We have another monastery in Melbourne, which is it's been going for 5 years only, and we built the monks and nuns side, been there for a while. We just built the new monks side just recently. I was there last 2 years, came back here, and now we're starting to build a retreat centre in Melbourne. So that's great. So we're going to have another Jhana Grove. It hopefully will be even better than Jhana Grove. We have all the experience from here, and we're trying to avoid the mistakes. I don't think we have a lot of mistakes in Jhana Grove, but some things we can get better. So we are starting a retreat centre in Melbourne, just north of Melbourne, 1 hour from Melbourne. It's a beautiful place there in Wombat State Forest. Same like Jhana Grove. I mean, it's so beautiful here, nice and quiet. So we're going to go there on January with Ajahn Brahm, and Ajahn Brahm is going to give a talk, and they asked Ajahn Brahm to give a talk about a subject called, when he goes to Melbourne, the subject they gave him is papancha. That's the Pali word. It's a sort of baffling concept. They struggled a long time, even the scholars in our tradition, just to trying to figure out what it really means. And the normal way of translating, just because you have to, you cannot just explain every word when you're translating things. So the papancha is quite often translated as the mental proliferation. And to explain that, what it means is that I started to think about it, and while I was there in my hut there, I looked what Ajahn Brahm thinks about that, because I had to ask him to do the talk on that, and I just find one of his books quite a nice explanation. I just thought I shared it with you. The outflowings of the mind, the endless task. The inclination of the mind is all important. Very often the mind inclines in the wrong direction. It goes into the world of sight, sounds, smells, taste, and touches. It even goes through about those experiences to what we call echoes of the worldly life that happens in the thinking mind, dream, fantasies, and memories. With all of these, we are observing the things of the world. In contrast, the inclination of the mind inwards is the way to develop letting go of the world. When we talk about letting go or fading away of the world, we can look at that from many different aspects. We understand how the inclination of the mind inwards brings the mind into focus. And that's what meditation should be. The inclination of the mind outwards, it's called papancha, in Pali papancha. There are so many different things to do and so many different objects to pay attention to. It's the world of endless busyness. There is no end to that proliferation or the complexity of the world of papancha. On the other hand, the mind that inclines inwards into the present moment, the silence, the breath, the nimittas, the signs of that the mind is starting to wake up, and the jhanas, is the mind which knows the end of proliferation. The mind can know the end of proliferation, the end of busyness, the end of complexity, as it gets closer to unity, to oneness. So, what constitutes as a good meditation? It's that inward looking of mind is coming to a unity. You are finding peace within. And all of these practices, whether it's metta meditation, whether it's just the breath meditation, the mindfulness of the daily life, they all are geared towards having a peacefulness of the mind. It's same like why we have 5 precepts in Buddhism. Maybe not all of you haven't taken 5 precepts, but the 5 precepts are there not so that you can attain some kind of heavenly rebirth or you're a better person. It is so that your mind inclines towards peacefulness. When you can live according to certain guidelines, your mind tends to be quieter. Your mind is geared towards silence. And that's why as monks and nuns, we have way more precepts. Again, they are just geared there to help us to focus on the quietness of the mind. Like I said earlier, one of the big, there's many precepts about making sure that the Sangha is not divided. There was a lot of arguing in the beginning of when the Buddhism started. Monks went into different fractions, for example. And the Buddha said, that's not the way to do it. You have to always have the unity in the mind. You always have to have harmony. Harmony is very important in your life. Somebody asked that they like this kind of busyness. It makes them feel alive. Sure, it does. And there's nothing wrong about if you enjoy doing something. But harmony, peace is what you have to keep in mind if you want to have a happy life. Contentment. You need to give name for what happiness means. Contentment is a very, very high happiness. If somebody asked, he's seen a lot of monks and people in ashrams and all that, they seem not to be very happy. Is that what we're aiming for? This kind of equanimity? Somebody else said. I would say no. If you have equanimity and you think I'm very equanimous, you're most likely just arrogant. You're most likely just big-headed. Oh, have a lot of equanimity. I'm not attached to anything. No, you're not. You're just being arrogant. Don't be arrogant. See what's in there. You are just pushing away things. Don't be afraid to feel happiness, but the happiness of this kind of the purity of the mind. Happiness which is not going to proliferation of when you're sitting down or walking, or even when you're taking a little break. You see the mind where it wants to go, it wants to do all the time, wants to do. Give it a break once in a while. Don't think you can practice. The interesting thing I heard once, one of the training places for us monks is to be in the kitchen in Bodhinyana before you become a monk. 1 year we in the kitchen, just so we can keep the community going in the kitchen. We drive and all that. And quite often the arguments in the monastery, they start in the kitchen. And I remember one time there was this one young anakarika, one in whites, who was training there. He was storming out of the kitchen. He was saying to himself, I just overheard him saying, I can learn patience somewhere else, but not in the kitchen. So practice patience is that, okay, I can practice patience somewhere else, but not while I'm sitting. That would be almost the same for you to say, I'm going to be patient, I'm going to have equanimity. But at the actually same time, if you really look into your mind when you have a lot of equanimity, you are just pushing things away. Oh, I don't want them to disturb my meditation. I don't want these things to come to my mind. But at the same time, you are proliferating into your mind. You are making things worse, because it's the opposite, having a mind of letting go, having mind which is peaceful, which is inclining to something peace. And so remember that when you're meditating, it's good enough. Ajahn Brahm always uses that simple, just a couple words is good enough. What's good enough? everything is good enough. Your body is good enough. Your mind is good enough. You're meditating and it's doing things which you don't want to, it brings out things you don't want to see. It's good enough. That really is a high way of letting, really good way of letting go. Don't add things. The more you start messing around with it, oh, I should be doing metta, I should have this. If you don't have it, you tend to go from bad place to worse. You just have mind which is, equanimity is not very good, but that's why these days we call things like contentment. You can feel what contentment is. Equanimity is some kind of high-fluting thing which you cannot feel. Sure, you might have mind which is very, very peace, but it doesn't mean there is equanimity there. It means there's higher and higher happiness. So how do you know your meditation is going well? You are more and more peaceful and more happy. Not that you have more and more equanimity towards the world. Nothing affects me. No, you are more compassionate person, but your compassion is now not dependent on other people. No matter what happens, you don't get dragged into those storylines. That's what happens quite often. We get sucked into other people's emotions, and it's nothing to do with you. We know it. That's why we need to have the island of ourselves. You are the island. That was one of the last words of the Buddha. Make sure you are island for yourself. Make sure you meditate. When you make island to yourself, you don't depend what happens in the world. The world is out of your control. I know you try to control, and more you try to control the world, you can see you're controlling your own mind the same way. If you have contentment towards the world, you have contentment towards your own world, the inner world. Have contentment towards everything. Then you notice that you cannot control anything. Everything is just moving all the time. There's nothing to be grasped where you can just if you fix something, it will be all good. You know it's not going to be. Everything is anicca. Everything is impermanence. Everything is impermanent is not even also good translation. It's in constant change. It's not, you cannot expect really anything out of the world. It gives you happinesses, sure, but it gives you letdowns, certain things which you don't even notice, and you cannot control it. Anicca is that kind of things where, again, from our rules, we have anicca and anicca. Anicca for me would be, if somebody tells me, anytime you want food, come and ask me. That would be for me considered as a anicca meal. That would be for me, I would know that it is not permanent. I would know it's, what's the good word? Anicca, but it would be, I can trust that it's going to happen. Whereas anicca is the opposite of the world. Anicca, it's impermanence, but it also means that you cannot count on it. It might be providing things you want, but it might not be providing. It's just constant flow. It is constantly changing. But if you have island to yourself and you have, again, not equanimity but contentment, whatever happens is good enough. And that's what we're aiming. And that's what brings you more happiness in your mind. So that's why you meditate, and that's why you have to be brave when you're meditating. Don't Don't really discard anything what comes to your mind. There's a lot of things which you don't want to see, but you keep working on it slowly, slowly, slowly. And there's like a lot of things where, like, even for me, I just, you just like, you cringe. So it's like, I wish I would not have done that. I wish that would not have happened to me. We all have those things where even sometimes, even now it comes to my mind when I'm meditating in my kuti. It's just these little flashes of when you're a teenager, you did things or whatever I wish I didn't do that. But then those are the learning experiences. It's almost like the same way when you were hurt, you know how it feels. And that is the reason why you don't want to hurt others. It's because you were broken down, you realize we are all very fragile. And that's why Ajahn Chah, our teacher in this tradition, had that simile of the cup. And he said, you see this cup, I think it was a glass. And he said, see, it has already a hairline fracture there. And he asked people to look at it. They said, no, well, it looks completely okay. But he said, one day somebody's going to drop that glass and it's going to get broken. If the glass was made out of metal, you can just, throw it around. You don't have to worry about it. It will never get broken. But we are all made of nice piece, beautiful porcelain. And you have to be careful how to handle these little pieces of porcelain cups. The same way, everybody around you are fragile things. And you can only notice that when you have been broken yourself. When let's say when you're young and you don't really, nobody really died in your family, you don't really realize what it means to lose somebody. But then you lose somebody who really meant something for you. And somebody else, your friend, loses the relative. You really understand what it feels like. Until then, you don't really have the understanding of it. You can sort of have a compassion, but not really. Until you really were in a situation where something affected you. Until then, you cannot really help others who've been in the same situation. So realize that. Don't push those things away. You learn from something, and because of that, you're a better person. So, and also, if you don't cringe of certain things, you might end up repeating them. If you don't look at your own mind and say, well, that was a stupid thing to do, well, you might end up doing that. You keep drilling other people which you don't even notice that you're making them hurt. So everything is learning experience, and everything is good enough. That's what, if you have that kind of mind state and you have practice mindfulness with wisdom on your day-to-day life, keep at it, keep at it, keep at it. And then when you sit down once in a while, it continues. And then you have this beautiful cycle. When you're sitting down, you go a bit deeper because you have time. You took whatever it is, 5 minutes, 1 hour, not today, tomorrow, but once a week before they go to sleep. And it becomes this nice cycle. You are aware while you're out there doing things, but then you take it deeper when you're meditating. You bring your awareness and you see what happened in the mind. Oh, that happened today, and you really don't want to look at it, but then it's in your mind. You can't help it. Whatever you do in your life, you can't help but to look at it when you're meditating. And that's one of the things why meditation is important. So, that being said, let's try to do metta meditation. Metta, we teach metta meditation all the time. It's a bit hard. And I really struggled until one day I realized I really have to put effort into it. So I just thought it was like, yeah, whatever, these Buddhist things. I don't have to practice this. I do something else. But I realized, okay, well, everybody's telling me to do these things, so I better do it. So I have been practicing it a little bit, quite a few years now, and so let's see. So metta meditation, I just tell you a little bit of the outline how it works usually. In the metta meditation, Ajahn Brahm teaches us in a way that it's thinking as like a fire. You have to be really carefully trying to stoke in the beginning. You get the fire going. You're adding kindle in there. Don't just add the big logs in there in the beginning. And I can see you when I'm going to do to show you when I do the guided meditation. We don't go to difficult objects in the beginning. We try to find the object in the beginning, which is very, very easy to find something to get the fire going. Make sure that we have the metta, the loving kindness beginning started somewhere. So that's why we select a very, very easy object, which is easy to take care of. For me, it would be perhaps a dog. When I was younger, our dog died, and there was a snake bit it and all that, and I remember it died on my arms. After the dog died on the second day, the vet couldn't do anything, but so I really tried to take care of it, but it died on the next morning, and I was holding the dog while it was dying, this beautiful little dog. And so it's easy for me to bring that kind of object. So whatever it is for you, if it's not, quite often it's babies for mothers or, women. Maybe if you really like babies, you could think of that, like a little baby. It doesn't have to be yours. Maybe it's even better that it's yours. But it's just sort of this object which is maybe not even, it's sort of like a dog maybe which didn't belong to you, but there's this sort of like idea of dog or a cat, if you like them, and same with the baby. Or if you don't like that kind of objects, babies poop and cats and dogs have to be taken care of. So think about the plants you're taking care of. So some people really have easier time with that. So whatever you can bring out, something you really want to take care of. If you want to take care of your house plants, and it might be difficult when I'm saying that we take it for a walk, but so take your house plant for a walk, but whatever it is, even plants, we take care of them, we water them and make sure it brings brightness in our mind when you take care of the house plant every day. And so we start with that, and then we go to an easy object. So when we go to the easy object, and then that for me would be my grandmother, who really took care of me when I was younger. And so that would be somebody very easy for me to just have metta. So we adding a little bit more fuel into the fire, make sure we kindle it up. And then we keep moving from there. So when you think about the object, whatever comes to your mind, and you don't think too much of it, whether you should select a different object or something. Just go with it, whatever you feel, and have that one object in your mind, and then we keep moving and see if we can get the fire going, and hopefully we get a nice warm metta fire in your mind. So let's try that. Have a comfortable seat, as always. Very good. So make sure you're comfortable. We're not gonna sit that long, so don't start thinking about how long is this gonna last. It's the last meditation. It won't be that long, and hopefully you will be feeling nice and comfortable, but still relax your body a little bit. This is the last session in our weekend retreat. Hopefully after this you go back home and you have a bit more contentment in your mind. So, with metta, like I said, we'll start with something very, very, very easy, object. So think of something like a small kitten, or the little puppy you had, or houseplant. Something which you feel that you want to take care of it. You look at it and you feel proud. You're taking care of it. You want to give all the caring you can towards that object. For me, with the little dog we had, when it was a small, very vulnerable, you have to take it close to your chest to make sure it feels that it's been taken care of. You look at that and you stroke the little thing and take care of it, and you give it all the compassion you have, that it feels that it doesn't have to be afraid. You're holding this thing close to your heart, and you just keep breathing kindness. Don't worry. I will take care of you. Whatever happens, I won't abandon you. You're breathing warmth to this thing you're taking care of. You give it sustenance, you give it light, take it outside, all of those things, whatever it needs. You have compassion. You have all the patience for this being. And slowly, slowly you start feeling that there is a warmth coming from this being which you're holding on your chest. You start feeling it start to warm up. That being is starting to trust you. And the more kindness you give to it, the more it trusts you, more kindness it gives back to you, more relaxed it feels. You're breathing in kindness. And that thing starts to soften up, soften up. It trusts you. You feel it, trust, kindness. You know how it feels when somebody trusts you. It's relaxing feeling, soft and warm. It's a feeling of no expectation. The metta is starting to grow. You start feeling the little kindle of loving kindness. It's all of those things. Softness, compassion, caring. Now that we have a small fire there, hopefully starting, we can move to the next step, which is a person or being which you can easily have metta towards. Somebody who took care of you when you needed. Somebody who you can trust, or you trusted. Your breathing starts to get softer and you start feeling, hopefully, more and more relaxed. We learn from these things, the metta, from others. Others gave it to you, so you can feel it. You learned it from them. So think of that person or being and give them metta, loving kindness. Hopefully you feel a little bit better, a little bit warmer in your chest. Your body starts to feel the metta. Thank you for being my friend. Thank you for showing me what loving kindness is. It's caring without expectations. Now we're moving towards a friend. You still have very easy object. But somebody not so close to you. Thank you for being my friend. Thank you for sharing your time with me. You have the memory of that beautiful object in the start, towards the next person, towards your friend. All of those things, they add up. You start spreading the metta slowly, slowly towards a bigger group of people, maybe towards your family. Thank you for taking care of me, providing me all those things growing up. If there's any resistance towards anybody in your family, you can leave them out for now. But really, really those people who you trust, who were your family when you needed them, thank you. Thank you for being my family. From your family, you start moving towards the bigger circle again, of your other relatives, who are almost like the big family of yours, who are there. Thank you for being part of my youth, my memories. You also need my loving kindness. They also need compassion. Spread it towards them and the bigger circle. Then you start spreading the circle even bigger, maybe towards the people here in Perth, or around your neighborhood maybe. All of those people which you don't know, you see them once in a while. You have equanimity towards those people. You don't really know them, but you see them once in a while. They are same like you. They also want to have happiness in their heart. And then maybe we spread towards the Perth, or the bigger, larger area here in Western Australia. Look at all those people, all of us here. All of us, we need your metta, your compassion. We look up towards you and we smile. Thank you. We are like you. We do need compassion, happiness. We're all aiming for that. And you keep spreading it outwards. Start seeing the whole Australia, all the people here, spreading compassion towards all the people in Australia. Towards Asia, your metta starts spreading, you start moving up, start seeing the earth as a whole, starting from the Asia, going up and up and up. You start seeing the globe, you see the different continents. You see all those people. They're taking care of their families, they're taking care of their loved ones, their pets. They also want to have contentment, metta, loving kindness. You see all those beings which are well surrounded in this planet. Even all the beings want to have metta. As you're breathing in and out, you feel that you're giving them metta. You keep moving up, and you start seeing this blue planet of ours. Can you see how tiny we are in this universe? Space, little rock. It's a beautiful blue planet of ours. All of us here, we wish we had loving kindness. You keep moving out. You feel like the metta is starting to get limitless. Doesn't have boundaries. It's almost like it's surrounding the whole universe. Your loving kindness is limitless. If you have a lot metta to give, now is the time to even give it to the person you dislike. It can burn so strong, even that doesn't matter. Even the person who has hurt you, even they need loving kindness. The metta, fire, warmth, can take anything in. It looks down upon to all of us. towards your good friend, your dear friend, your parents, your loved one. Same way is encompassing the universe and your enemy, somebody who has hurt you. I give you loving kindness. When you're breathing metta, now we direct it maybe towards the most difficult objects, even more difficult than the person who is hurting you or who has hurt you. It is yourself. Look at yourself as if you were looking from the mirror. Look at yourself in the mirror and say, I have metta towards you. My heart is open to you. I care about you. For so long, there's been that one person who you've been ignoring. Trust that person, which is you. Give it the same loving kindness. Same openness as you're giving to everybody else. We are soon coming to the end of the meditation. Hopefully you feel a bit more acceptance toward yourself, towards everybody else. Hopefully you have a little bit more peace in your mind. This is where the insights come. This is what wisdom is. going to ring the gong 3 times. You can end the meditation if you wish. Very good. So I'm sorry, it looks like I moved a bit too fast, but I guess what to do. I wasn't looking at the clock, so we're 10 minutes early. So I'm sorry if I robbed your time. All right, so weekend retreats, they go quick. And so there's any more the lunch, and then we have the discussion, 1:30 if you want to see me, and I'll be there wherever, dining hall or outside. One of my friends, Bhante Bodhidharma, is going to come as well, so we can have a discussion with him. But is there anything people want to say now?
Thank you.
Yeah, no worries.
I actually do have a question.
Sure.
When I'm meditating, I just realised I tend to count to zone out my mind.
You need to count?
Yeah, so like I'm either going in and out, like so focusing on my breath in and out, or I tend to count.
Oh, you tend to go, okay.
Yeah. Is that
Yeah.
okay?
It's okay. It's just sometimes a bit difficult to let go, so I wouldn't, maybe don't hold on to it too much, onto the counting. It tends to become a habit, and then it's hard to let go. Sometimes people say that they can feel their heartbeat and all those things, but don't concentrate too much on your heart. Otherwise, it's difficult to let go, because when the heart stops, then you think you're dying. Breathing is difficult to let go, but the heart is even more difficult. So that's why we have these objects like breath meditation, because it's quite easy to let. It's quite easy to let go. Breath. Very good. So it's probably a lot of people have. You tend to be a bit quiet after the metta meditation, but it's interesting that metta. It's difficult to do towards yourself. So that's why you need to keep at it, and you just sort of have to recognize the softness in your mind and would keep at it. You are no different from any of all of us, and you are just human. So welcome to the humanity, but you need the same openness like all of us. You start from yourself, open the door for of the heart for yourself, and that's a good place, and then rest will follow. That's the practice. You keep at it. All right, anything else? Going. Roman.
Thank you very much, but does this mean officially
Okay, sure. You can start singing now if you wish. Yeah, I guess you can start talking, but I mean, you still have until lunchtime. You have half an hour, but yeah, I guess the retreat is coming to an end. Sure. Sounds like you have a lot of things to say. Okay, good. Yeah, well done. Sure.
Shall we do 3 sadhus to the teacher? Sadhu means well done. Okay, big one. Sadhu. Sadhu. Sadhu.
Well done. Okay. Okay, and then I guess the check is in the mail. No, that's good enough. I definitely receive enough for this. Just teaching I'm glad I don't get paid. Very good. Sugiyat. Oh, well, who knows? Well, let's see the comments after.
Yeah. Please give on your feedback, okay?
Yeah.
When it's back, I will organize.
Yeah, sure.
Thank you, Venerable.
No, what-
Is this really your first retreat?
yeah, it's my first.
I'm so impressed by you.
Oh, thank you. Hopefully they'll get better.
You don't need to get better.
Well, people get bored if it's the same thing.
You know, the Dharma that you taught this weekend was beyond your years.
Wow.
And is this really your 9th or 10th year?
Yeah. 9, I've been 9 years.
I'm impressed, I really am. And I'm proud to be a part of it. I'm so grateful. I don't want to embarrass you, but this retreat has been very special for me.
Oh, good. Yeah.
And I think that maybe this was your life that you intended to go for in the early years of your life when you were born.
Perhaps, yeah.
That's what it was like for nursing with me.
Oh, okay, yeah.
I had that calling very, very early, and I was able to nurse for 40 years until I had an accident, and then I had to leave, and that was like a grief for me. But I learned to live with it because it gave me the opportunity to spread loving kindness, because I enjoy loving kindness,
Right, right.
and this meditation was just perfect for what I needed today.
Okay, yeah.
And I
No,
think
yeah.
that too, and I'll let you go because I know how busy you are, and you're going to get busier.
Perhaps, yeah. I don't know how much busier I can get, but sure.
You'll know. Look at Venerable Sir,
Sure.
and we need to keep time for ourselves, which we don't, and I don't either. So that was a very good lesson too.
Yeah, sure. Very good. Thank you, Brian. Thank you for your comment.
So I can't take a chair.
Yeah, it's very good. Yeah, it's raining.
It rains, like 1 o'clock will be easy.
Oh, okay.
So you see how 12:13, see how we go. You know this, you can, the up and down,
I know.
how they do?
No,
No, outside.
outside. Unfortunately, because, it doesn't rain too well because...
If you want the gong, we have a gong. That's what,
Does it?
yes, we have.
Sometimes they put like a cushion on it because it's sort of a bit blunt.
Oh,
Does it
cushion
rain?
on here.
Yeah. No, no. Yeah, well, yeah. For loving kindness. So softness. I don't know, to sit on. Yeah, Ajahn Brahm just have these things, so it brings the sort of like, people realize we're don't be too serious. Just to have the sort of kindness, yeah. It's a sort of tedious kind of thing.